Story 1. My fiancé always puts her family first and I don't know if I can handle it. Culture using a burner account because I really want to get this off my chest. I am an American, 33, and my fiancé is a Filipina, 28. I proposed to her last year, and we have been together for 3 years now. She is an amazing person, very nurturing, loving and attentive, a wonderful cook, a great listener, and she just makes me incredibly happy. She is a nurse and is excellent at her job and a very hard worker. My family also likes her a lot and they get along pretty well. There are, however, some things that bother me, which is why I am posting here. I came across the post of another foreign guy talking about his girlfriend wanting him to shoulder the entire cost of their party or something like that, and I thought I should share my experience. Anyway, we started dating a few months before the lockdown hit, and when it happened, she was living with her roommate and was in a very unpleasant position. We moved in together shortly because I wanted to help her out financially, so she didn't need to worry about rent, one last thing off her mind. I earn a decent wage, so I wanted to help her out in any way I could. We mostly split all utility expenses, but I sometimes cover more if needed. Ever since we started dating, she would send a big chunk of her salary back home every month. She regularly talks to her family and for some reason, they always have something going on and expects her to pay off whatever is needed, her siblings' tuition fees, some medical costs, the leaking roof in the kitchen, birthdays, and so on. I understood and supported her, although I felt it was too much sometimes because growing up, I was never obligated to pay off my brother and sister's schooling, but instead, we were taught to be responsible for ourselves by getting part-time jobs and getting student loans that we are supposed to pay on our own. She tells me it is her duty as the eldest to help her family as much as she can and that her parents have sacrificed so much for her to finish her degree and how they had to borrow money for her to work abroad and such. She has 4 younger siblings, 1 in college, 2 in senior high school and 1 in middle school. I don't know to what extent, but she gives them their monthly allowance, money for new phones, and pays for her brother's college tuition. We always send large boxes of souvenirs almost twice a year, which includes clothes, tons of bar chocolates and snacks, branded shoes, and more, not just for her family, but also for her uncles, aunts, and cousins. It's one thing wanting to give them gifts, but asking me to chip in every time we do so, and one time telling her brother that I am generous enough to buy him a new laptop while we were video chatting, was simply too much. She said it out of nowhere during the call and I had no choice but to say yes to her brother. We had an argument about this after the call, but then she retaliates by saying that we are going to be a family soon, so why am I being so stingy when her brother needs it for school? She is a very frugal person and does not like to spend money on herself and even for our dates and such, but when it comes to her family, the sky is the limit, and she would send them her entire hard-earned money in a heartbeat. What are her parents doing to contribute? I have no idea. She also told me a few times that in the future, she hopes we could petition her younger brother who is studying IT right now so he could live with us in the States, although ironically, she rarely buys gifts for my nephews and nieces during special occasions. The last straw for me was what happened recently. I found out I inherited a certain amount of money from my late grandma, and it has recently been transferred to my account. It is not in the millions, but definitely more than enough to live decently. She found out and was so excited about it and immediately insisted that we should go to the Philippines and go to Palawan with her family. We have been planning to go meet her family, but due to COVID and our conflicting schedules, we still haven't. I said yes, because I know how much she misses her family, so she quickly started checking flights and dates that we both could take time off. Since then, she has been asking me if I was interested in buying a house as a form of investment since we now have the money to do so. I feel a little uncomfortable about her excitement regarding my inheritance, and again, I spoke to her about this. As much as I appreciate the money, I am not exactly ecstatic about it because I only received it due to my grandma's passing, whom I love and miss so much. She explains to me that she was only thinking about the future and if we could get a house in the Philippines, we could have it rented out, so we don't have to pay for the entire cost of the mortgage. I told her I would think about it, and we didn't speak about it again until 2 days ago. I woke up to go to work while she was still asleep, but left her phone on the kitchen table. A message popped up in the screen from her sister in Filipino, but there was a word townhouse somewhere in the message. I never ever touch her phone without her consent, but seeing the message boggled me, and I had to know. I read it and Google translated their conversation. She basically told them about my inheritance when I explicitly told her to keep it private. She goes on to tell them that we are getting a townhouse, and while we are in the US, her family could live there for free. I was livid. She literally expects me to buy her family a house or have them live there rent-free when I haven't even agreed to it and said I would think about it. I feel like a second priority because her family always comes first. I woke her up and confronted her about it, and well, you get the picture. In her anger, she tells me that she wouldn't even have left 5 years ago to be in the US if not for her family because she wishes every day she was at home with them. I was dumbfounded and asked her for how long we are supposed to provide for her family's financial needs, but she goes quiet and runs off to cry in the bathroom. I told her I needed time away, packed my bags, and currently staying with my brother. He thinks she is being too extreme about this whole financial thing and that I should rethink my decision of marrying her. We were supposed to get married in the courthouse with a small reception for family and friends here next year and have another wedding in her hometown a year later, but now I'm not so sure. She has been sending me messages since I left asking when I am coming back, but has not yet apologized at all for what had happened. Do most Filipino parents expect this much from their kids, especially their eldest? They send the eldest kid to university and think they've done their part and turn over the responsibility to that child of paying for the rest of their siblings' school fees? Like the parents spend money on you until you're 23 and you have to pay back by giving them back the money until you're 60? Can someone explain this to me? This whole child sacrificing for family trope is so prevalent in every single Filipino movie or drama we've watched together that I can't help thinking this is just how it is for Filipino families, and I didn't fully understand this going into the relationship. She is a lovely person and I love her to death, but I don't know if I am up for this much of a responsibility that not even my own family expects of me. TLDR, American man and Filipina fiancé. Fiancé spends too much money on family and expects me to use my inheritance to buy a house her family could live in. Guys, before we get into the comment, take a second now and subscribe to my channel. This will help my small channel a lot. Thanks. Now to the comments. Suso_lover. Ah yes, the dreaded eldest offspring syndrome of Filipino, Asian, families. This is taking it to the extreme though. It's expected in Filipino families that the offspring who makes it big shares some, or a lot, of that blessing with the rest of the family. Supporting studies, sending money, and sending gifts. Some do abuse this, and I think this is what's happening here. Helping her family will make her happy and score brownie points with her family. However, set boundaries. Set them now. Good luck. Pianist Ref, 1926. LOL. If the OP thinks it's bad now, wait till he is married. Story 2. Roommate stole from me, so her wallet vanished. Back in college, I had better credit than my 3 other roommates, so I put our internet/TV under my name, otherwise the deposit would have been $600. The cable company offered me a $300 Visa gift card upon sign-up. 2 months later, I called them because the gift card never arrived. They tell me they sent it a few weeks ago, and eventually, I'm able to find out from Visa that someone used it at the Whataburger, Target, and liquor store near my house. I'm pissed off because obviously one of my roommates has used it, but I didn't know which one. A few weeks later, roommate number 2 complains that their $200 birthday gift card to Target has gone missing. His mom still had the receipt, and the store was able to tell her that someone used it at the Target near our house. He's obviously pissed off too, but we've now realized it's probably one of the other 2 roommates. Couple weeks after that, roommate number 3's wallet disappears. We turned the house upside down looking for it, and we knew it had to be in the house because her car key is attached to her wallet, and her car is parked at the house. She is absolutely frantic. Sobbing, screaming, hyperventilating, etc. Throwing shit everywhere and just having an absolute meltdown while tearing the house apart. We had never seen her behave like this, so we're all kinda surprised she'd be that upset about her wallet. It's stressful, sure. But I genuinely was concerned about how she was reacting. She says the gift card thief must have taken it, implying it is roommate number 4, the only person who hasn't had something stolen yet. A few days after that, I found her wallet in the trunk of my car. We had gone to get groceries together, and I guess she just laid it in the trunk while we were unloading. I'm like, holy shit, I found her wallet, and then I open it up, because I'm just excited to confirm that I did indeed find her wallet. Bam! Both stolen gift cards front and center. No doubt. The Visa gift card has my name printed on it, and roommate number 2's mom had written something in Sharpie on his gift card. I realized she had a meltdown because she was afraid we'd find out she was the thief. I left the wallet, cash and all, right where it was, pushed up against the inner lip of the trunk so you couldn't see it unless you leaned farther into the car. A locksmith wouldn't make her new keys without the title. And the title was in the glove box of her locked car. All in all, she spent about $500 replacing her DL, title, and keys. Not to mention not being able to drive her car for 2 weeks. I moved out of state with her wallet still in my car. Finally tossed it in trash several months later. Sometimes the universe assists you with petty revenge. Edit, holy cow, I did not expect this to take off. Sorry, if you see this, Chelsea, it was me. This happened 10+ years ago, and I am happy to report that we've all gone to therapy since then and are thankfully no longer terrible human beings. Couple things to address. Why didn't you confront her? I hated confrontation, was a huge people pleaser / wanted everyone to like me, and enjoyed watching her suffer. Again, therapy. I'm thankfully no longer like this. Visa gift cards don't have names. Google Comcast Visa promo card real quick. The Target gift card itself said happy birthday, and my friend's mom wrote to my favorite son underneath. It was still semi-legible when I found her wallet. Locksmiths don't make car keys. Apparently some do. In the end, she had her car towed to the dealership. I do remember she called a locksmith the first day her wallet was missing because she initially thought the wallet was in her car. She was super mad that the locksmith charged her for the weekend visit without actually unlocking her car. Was he taking advantage of a stupid college girl? Maybe. This was over a decade ago. I was 21, and I'm sure my vodka-addled brain did not fully absorb the details of her whole ordeal. Turn her into the cops. Bro, have you met college students? Do you know how much illegal shit they do? It briefly crossed my mind, but petty revenge was far more satisfying. She had an absolute meltdown and missed a few days of work at a newish job dealing with all of this. Guys, do you think OP is reasonable here? Tell me what you think. Story: my P.E. teacher thinks that he knows everything about periods, so now I know everything about him. My BF, trans male, was on his period, so he asked if he could leave to use the bathroom during class. My BF gets really heavy flow on the first few days of his period and really bad cramps, so naturally he takes a while in the bathroom. My BF took about 10 to 15 minutes to get back. However, when he got back, my P.E. teacher ridiculed him for taking too long at the bathroom. This was in front of the entire class, by the way. My BF had to explain to my teacher that he was on his period and that he takes a bit longer to use the bathroom on those days. Seems like a pretty reasonable response, right? Wrong. My teacher then went off on a rant about how that was no excuse and that he has 3 sisters and none of them take that long. My BF is very shy and tends to shut down when he's yelled at in front of a lot of people. I, being very protective of the people I love, stepped in and gave my BF a hug while trying to explain to me teacher that all periods are different and that his sisters likely use tampons. I also tried to tell him that just because he has 3 sisters doesn't mean that he knows everything about periods. Another one of the girls in my class also reminded my teacher that my BF was only gone for 10 to 15 minutes, which isn't even that long of a time to use the bathroom. At this point my teacher was turning red. My BF was crying at this point, so I said to my teacher this: the next time you decide to talk about things that you know nothing about, don't do it in front of the entire class. What bewilders me even more is that my P.E teacher also teaches my health class. I tried talking to my school coordinator about it, but they said Mr. Insert P.E teacher's name is allowed to have his own opinions. Beyond stupid, but at that point I knew that none of the other teachers would help me. Fast forward a few days, and my P.E teacher is away from school because he got a cold. He was gone for about 4 days. In those 4 days I got an idea. When he got back I would ask him why he was away from school. When he says that he had a cold I would say to him, well, I have a brother and he doesn't take that long to recover from a cold. I knew full well that I was going to get in trouble, but it was worth it. Nobody makes my BF cry on my watch. On the day my P.E teacher got back, my plan was going to go into action. When he said that all bodies recover from sicknesses at their own rate, so I said to him, oh, but the same can't be said about periods, right? At that moment he realized what I was doing. He kept quiet because he knew that he had no arguments left. It felt so good, LMAO. But it doesn't end there. I decided that every time that he does something, I will say, well, my brother has blank and he doesn't do blank. It drives him insane and I don't plan on stopping until he apologizes. I know it's petty, but that's kind of the point of this subreddit, LMAO. Edit, I swear to God, if I see one more transphobe say, but men can't have periods. Learn to read. I said that my BF is a trans male. He can have periods. End of discussion. Also, to the people calling my story fake, I do not care about what you think is real or not, just stop clogging up my notifications. Guys, if you have a story of your own, you can message me so we can talk about it. Don't forget to like my videos. Story Ida for calling my daughter's father spineless and his girlfriend creepy over their name choice for their daughter. Not the a-hole. A little bit of context for you all. I ended up falling pregnant with my 10-year-old daughter during a drunken hookup with a friend in my mid-20s. Not the most glamorous or flattering truth, but it's the truth all the same. When we found out, we decided to keep the child and co-parent while remaining friends. We were never a couple and we didn't want to be one either. 4 years ago, he began to date his long-term girlfriend and they moved in together last year. She fell pregnant and I've been supportive to them both as much as I could be without crossing any lines. I've encouraged my daughter to help out whenever she's staying with them during the pregnancy and to behave. I've also made it clear that I want the children to have a close relationship despite having different mothers. I've even said that if they were comfortable with it on nights I have my daughter, if they ever want time alone, I'll babysit once they have the baby so my daughter can spend time with her sibling. All in all, I thought everything was great and I was excited for my daughter to have a sibling as she's always wanted one, but I had no interest in having another child. 3 days ago my friend and his girlfriend had a daughter. They asked me to bring my daughter to the hospital to meet her little sister yesterday alongside others of the family. So I did exactly that, but when they introduced us to the baby I was shocked. They'd used my daughter's name. She didn't seem to have any issue with this when she introduced the baby bold as Brass. My friend seemed uncomfortable and wouldn't look at me directly. I asked them what they were playing at which point my friend's father said he'd take my daughter down to the cafeteria to get something to eat and left with her. My friend told me to calm down and not overreact, while his girlfriend told me she didn't see the issue and it was a pretty name. I asked them if they'd named the baby for my daughter, trying to understand the logic here, but his girlfriend said that no, it was just a pretty name she liked. I then asked if they planned to use a nickname or a middle name when addressing to her on a daily basis, and her response was that she didn't see a need for that. I told them they were being ridiculous and that they couldn't do this. I then told his girlfriend that I found this frankly creepy and told my friend he was being spineless if he was happy to go along with this. He tried to claim our daughter could use a nickname or something, but I shut that down immediately, asking why it was more reasonable for a girl who has used that name for a decade to shame her name compared to a baby who had no concept of what a name was yet. His girlfriend told me I was being a bitch talking to her like that after she just gave birth, and asked the nurses to remove me, saying I was being disruptive. Maybe my temper is running a little too hot though, and I was too harsh on her when she just gave birth. It's just so fucking weird. Edit, I'd also like to state, I know that what they want to name their child is their choice. They could have called her Dinosaur for all I care, but this is one name that should be off limits or adjusted. They even have the same surname as they have the same father. Something about it just felt malicious and deliberate, as if she's trying to replace my daughter, and for them both to spring it on us like that at the first meeting? Now that was weird. Subscribe for daily Reddit stories.